Shoot, I don't want to, like, skip this. This is kind of cool to watch. Hang on a second. Let's do... Here, I'm turning the audio down a little bit. Okay. What was I saying? Okay, so it had some quality of life stuff that was nice. For example, in some of these games where they're turn-based, the battle ends, right? Like, you finish a fight. And it'll be like, da, 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 sheath sword. They couldn't handle us. And then they all strike a pose, and Sylvando's in the back like this. And then it's like, you receive 57 XP. Sylvando received 57 XP. Valerie received 57 XP. The hero receives 57 XP. 33 gold rewarded. 2 malachite and it's like an hour. It's like after every single fight, there is just the longest of things. You're just like, A button, A button, A button, A button, and you're trying to get through it. I hate that. That is one of the things that I can't stand in these games. This game was, the post-combat BS was pretty quick. I could just tap through it. It was fun. Additionally, I was able to turn up the game speed. The good combat animations are important, but once you've seen them 100 times, you kind of wish that you could just crank the speed up like ×4 to speed it up, and I appreciate that. There are some other games I played that had it. There's some that don't. The ability to set the party on auto was nice for farming, because you had to grind. However, in Octopath Traveler, there was a button where you could just hit it, and your companion would just basically go auto for one turn. So it's like, I could be like, all right, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do what you think's best for this one. And there was nothing like that in this. I had to go through multiple sub-menus to change someone's AI. So it was good, but I would say Octopath wins in that regard. Also, you couldn't set AI other than a few predetermined things. For example, if I was, like when I was playing Rab, I would want Rab early in combat to use the health regeneration spell on the party. He would like never do that on auto. I couldn't get him to do that, so I would have to swap him to manual like a lot. I just there was like a gopher in that guy's pocket or something like that peeking out. I don't know what that was. Okay, so anyway, quality of life. There was some things about this game that made the quality of life better. Storytelling. There were some moments in the story that were so freaking good. I was like, I am amazed at that. That is some good freaking writing. I love it. Like, for example, when it's like, wait a minute, how did the bad guy break Erdogan's lantern? It requires the Sword of Light. Wait a minute, he's got the Sword of Shadows, which is the Sword of Light corrupted from that timeline. That is originally the Sword of Light. That makes sense. Okay, that's pretty freaking good. Like, there was some moments like that that were really nice. And then on the flip side, this game had some of the most glaring plot holes. Like, holy crap. It had some of the craziest plot holes, and I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. And so it was like, part of it, I could enjoy the really good storytelling, and then part of it, I had to just try to disconnect myself and be like, just think of it like a fairy tale, don't think of it too much, it doesn't work if you think of it too much. And example of a plot hole. Example of a plot hole, the thing at the end was Serenica. When we left our timeline, it was like, oh, you went back in time and changed it. But then we sent Serenica back in time, and nothing changed for us. Which would mean that when we left the previous timeline, we left a timeline with dead Veronica and missing Luminary, and just screw those guys, and they're still there suffering. So, like, they didn't really think that through that much. We gave the power of the Luminary to Serenica for her to go back in time, and then we had it back, like, a minute later. Like, the mark disappeared from our hand, and a minute later it was back. Like, there was multiple things like that. When the Luminary saw the Dark Tackle try to absorb Erdwin's lantern, and Mordegon destroyed the lantern, and the Dark Tackle went, oh, and because we're mute, we couldn't tell the party. We weren't like, hey, that you guys can't see it, but there's an unconscious evil spirit here that just tried to pull a sun down on top of the city. Maybe we should talk about this. But he's just like, and then we just walked away. when we went back in time, it didn't give us the option to talk to the, like, he was freaking mute. I mean, you guys know it. He was mute the whole time. There was so much information he had that he could have told the others to... Oh, there's Serenica. There's so much information he had he could have told the others, but he did not. Look at the screen. I'm looking at the screen. I said it was Serenica. So there's Erdwin and Serenica there. Okay, hang on. So is this her, like, landing back in time? So a bird flew by. Is it gonna fly by her now? Okay. She just needs to keep running straight forward if that's the case. So he's running toward her, so at this point in time, he knows her. But at the same time, this is not the day he was killed, so when was this? Yeah, so she still has the mark! So how did we have the mark when we went to the tree? Plot hole! Oh my god. If it had faded, I could maybe buy that it moved back or something, but it doesn't make any sense! It grew back. It grew back. Yeah, luminary marks are like hair. You just can't get rid of them. Mordegon took it too. Yeah, it took us weeks to get it back. Oh, this lady's got the mom that's gonna die anime haircut. We gotta watch out for her.
Cooey.
Wait, purple hair. Is this...
Rise and shine. Morning, my darling. It's time to get up. Today's a very important day.
Wait, that voice. That was Mom's voice. That was the voice from Mom. And Mom was a heavy lady. Is that implying that Serenica becomes Heavyset Mom and it is... No, the hair was wrong. The hair of the guy in the bed was like Super Saiyan hair. It wasn't Trunks' hair. I think they just reused the same voice actor there. I think that was supposed to be like a different young hero. If Serena goes back, then there's no Mordegon. Yeah, that too. Muck is thinking too deep. Oh, how dare I put thought into the story. I'm sorry. The hair of the dude was Erdrick's. Yeah, and the purple hair could have been Serenica, which meant that might have been Serenica's child. Serenica and Erdrick's child, which would have possibly inherited Erdrick's hair. Okay. You should play the previous track. No. maybe someday. Right now, no way. Maybe someday in the future. Okay, another thing. There was the thing in the story where you could go to, like, Talkington and go back in time and see stuff from the previous Dragon Ages and try to fix it. I think that was cool. However, it literally made me sick. Because, like, I'd go there and the screen would always do this wave thing and it would, like, distort everything when you go through the time travel. And I would actually get nauseous going through that. So I did it, like, 5 times and did side quests. But because I hadn't played the previous Dragon Ages, there was no nostalgia there. I was like, oh my god, oh, that was Billy Bob Jean from Dragon Age 3 when he was at the concert and he said, you're breathtaking. Oh, like, I didn't recognize anything. So I did like 5 quests for the Tockles and then I was like, I'm not getting anything from this. So I stopped doing those because it was just physically damaging me and I wasn't getting anything out of it. So but I think that was kind of neat. I'm still left with questions. At the beginning of the game, we saw the Dark Tockle walking through the town that is getting attacked, and that's how we ended up on the run. Was he there by chance? Or was it... Did he cause that? I don't know. Mark, aren't Veronica and Serena support to be from Serenica lineage? I don't know if they're supposed to be descendants or a reincarnation of her. So they might just be like her spirit reincarnated into 2 bodies. Not as much making sense as you're killing Chrono and never got him back. Yeah, I didn't figure that one out. I feel like you need to think less to understand it better. Wow. Like that whale. When we summoned that whale the first time, we had to play the flute, it transformed into a fishing pole, then we fished it. I presume we shoved a giant hook in its mouth. That would make me, like, if you call me over by getting a hook in my mouth, I'm not gonna like you. But for some reason, this whale's our BFF. In the second timeline, we didn't have to do the fishing pole thing to catch it. I don't know. There's a bunch of weird stuff. Okay, how was the game? How was the game as a whole? The game, hold on a second. Let's just close out of this. How was the game as a whole? Let me turn the audio back up to normal. I would say overall, I was quite enjoying the game. I was mainly following the direction of the main story, and I was occasionally doing side quests. But when I got a side quest I didn't want to do, I didn't do it. Like one of the first quests we ever found was go look at all the bookshelves in the city and find me a book about Billy Bob. And I was like, no thanks. And I never did that one. But I did dozens and dozens of side quests, but there was many more I also did not do. And then following the main story, I got to the final boss at like low 51, 55. And it one-shot me. And that was the first point in the game I was like, I have to go do stuff I don't want to do to continue the story. So at that point, like if the game had been an 8 out of 10 at that point, it dropped to like a 6.5 out of 10. Like that was a massive amount of like fall off. Like the immersion was completely broken. The momentum was completely broken. We had to start, we just had to make number go up. We had to go find ways to make number go up. And combining on stream and off stream, I spent 3 hours making number go up so that we could fight Kalasmos. Then he still killed us in one turn. Because he would do like one big hit and then one big AoE hit and then another big hit. And he would kill like 2 people. And he still would kill us in one turn. And then someone in chat's like, oh, use the Sword of Light without equipping it. And I was like, what? And it turns him green, which apparently makes him weaker. He would still one-shot us when he would do like a full volley, but it was like he was being less aggressive. And it was just like, okay, wow, all right. So I never would have figured that out. And then that whole fight was so unfun. Dude, like, Eric's whole thing is you use duplicate, summon his shadow clones, then do big hits. The big thing for Jade was to use revamp and go into her demon form and then use big hits. The big thing for Veronica was to use her concentration focus thing and then do big blasts. All 3 of them would spend 1 turn buffing and then either die or get it dispelled and then have to buff again. Like, the boss just having constant dispels on you, or freezing you in time and stuff like that. And then there was paralysis on the fight, there was stuns on the fight, there was knockdowns on the fight. It was just, like, the most unfun thing. You skipped a lot of stuff. If you did Act 3 quests for Sylvando and Hendrik, they would have unlocked more skills on their sideboards and a lot of endgame quips from other quests. As I said, I did a lot of side quests. I know I didn't do all of them. I never found an Act 3 quest for Sylvando and Hendrik. Okay, I guess Sylvando would have been going and talking to his dad. I think I talked about that and I forgot about it. Hendrik's quest was literally just you. The only thing I could think of with Hendrik was like killing Jasper. I can't think of anything else for Hendrik, so I don't know what you might be referring to with that. Like Hendrik's whole thing was like kill Jasper, save the king, and we did both of those in Act 3. So I don't know what else he would have wanted. Not saying there wasn't anything. I'm just saying I have no idea what that would have been. Unless I had just like Googled that. So yeah, it's combined. You learn more about Sylvando being a knight and how Hendrik trained with Sylvando as a kid. Oh, okay. All right. Oh yeah, it was pretty fun. I definitely wish it had more quality of life in it than like Octopath. However, it did not have as much as like Dragon Age, where I could say like, hey, when I put you on auto, spam this move, never use this move at the beginning of each fight, etc. I wish it had had even more customization, but it did not. Um, but it was a fun game. It was enjoyable when I could just like throw myself into the story and just, ride along that. Once it got to the point where it fell off from the story and I had to go make number go up before I could continue, my enjoyment of it went way, way down. However, out of 57 hours, what I'm complaining about is like the last 5. Yeah, it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun overall. Definitely had moments I wish were different, but it is what it is. The Sword of Light's gimmick is a repeat from DQ3. Only older fans would catch it. This is my first Dragon Quest game, so I wouldn't have known that. I would not have known. Muck Blur, it's stealing my frames. Finished it today. Such a beautiful game. Kazan time. We'll be back on Kazan tonight. I don't want people for the evening stream to be like, hey, why are we here? What happened? Okay. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to add in. Like, finding out that Jade was the girl at the beginning was kind of cool. Finding out that, like, Rab was the grandfather. I was kind of surprised at how little Gemma had to do with the game. Most anime things, if you've got a childhood friend at the beginning, like, they're a major character throughout the game. And Gemma was like a 6-piece chicken McNobody. So I was kind of surprised at how little involved she was, but it's fine, I guess. I was really bummed out when Veronica was missing in Act 2, because she was one of my favorite characters, and then I was excited that we got her back in Act 3, but then she just kept dying in one hit, so it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Music? Too many trumpets. Too many trumpets. This is your last chance to be upset about Ali F4 main menu. Oh, yeah. The fact that the main menu doesn't have a button to close the game is pretty freaking stupid. Yeah, so if you're at the main menu, you have to load into a game and then exit without exiting the main menu in order to leave. So you have to Alt F4 to close the game from the main menu. Another thing, like I mentioned this when I first set up the game, when I very first installed it, I opened it and it was deafening volume. I was like, literally almost fell out of my chair. And I got into a game. The first cutscene, I thought at the time it was unskippable. It turns out the skip button is X on the keyboard. I tried escape, spacebar, clicking the mouse, enter, etc. It didn't work. And I just sat through like 10 minutes of deafening volume with my earbuds on my desk, got into the game, turned the volume down, closed the game, then found out on stream the next day it didn't save because I had to go find a priest and hit save game. By the way, the menus at what was it called? The menus when you go to those little shrines or to the priests and stuff like that were so egregious. Like I would often run past the shrines and not use them because I would have to like open the shrine, hit rest. Are you sure? Yes. Forgive me, Father, I have sinned. Do you wish to keep playing? Yes. You may now continue the game. Yes. And then you get back to the shrine. All that to heal. And then, if you want to do something, it was just like bing, 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 bing. It was so many button clicks. So it came to the point, I'm not sure if y'all noticed, where if I wanted to save the game, I would just go through a zone line and then go back to where I was, just so that I didn't have to deal with those statues. Because it was so over the top with all the text. I didn't keep up with your playthrough after DQ11 pulled the Blizz says the jailer did it all, Omega Lol, guys. It wasn't that bad, but the whole thing was like, we thought the main villain was Mordegon. And Mordegon was the corrupted sorcerer from the first hero's party. And what corrupted him? This big entity that was the thing at the end of the game. So it wasn't that he was like a minion of that entity. He was just corrupted by it, and then he went all crazy. And then Mordegon's corruption corrupted Jasper, and then Jasper was like fed false promises and stuff like that. Yeah, I didn't think it was like the jailer. I didn't think it was that bad. We're not talking like oh, he's gonna get Mount Hyjal. Oh, it's Kill Jaden. Oh, it's the Burning Legion. Oh, it's the It wasn't like that. But I do get what your comparison. I do get that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. But yeah, overall, good quality of life for games of this genre. Not the best QOL I've ever seen. For like setting up your party, I still think Dragon Age Origins is the best, and I'm comparing to that. The party and story was pretty good. However, it had moments with just big glaring plot holes that drove me crazy. But even still, I was having fun through the game until at the very end we had the classic thing that seems to happen in every one of these, which is we have to go make Nimber go up, and it was very challenging for me to not just put the game down right there. I just can't stress it enough. When that happens, it's like the momentum is broken, the immersion is broken. I'm no longer playing for the story. I'm playing to make Nimber go up, and there's a shift in my brain where it goes from I'm playing a game to I'm doing work to be allowed to play the game later. And it just like my interest in it just tanks. But we managed to get through it. We managed to finish the final boss, which was not a fun fight. Glad that's done. And we finished it. We saw the end. You have a tendency of skipping endgame content and you rush straight for the last boss, thus having to resort for the grinding. I don't buy that. Hang on. So give me a second to pull up something to type in. Let me explain something. All right. So for let's say 50 hours of the game, I was following the main story prompts and doing side quests I thought looked fun and skipping the others. Okay? Suddenly, 50 hours in, we hit a level 70 plus boss while doing this. Okay? So for 50 hours of the game, I was just following the main quest line and occasionally doing side stuff. And then we hit a wall, right? It's not like I was just skipping stuff through the entire game. I wasn't like just cruising through and just like running past all the mobs. Heck, one of the earlier bosses in the game was like level 20 and I was level 30 at that point. But it was just, at this point, there was just a massive jump in level between what we had just been doing and Kalasmos. Like, the things that we had just been doing, I was easily handling at level 50, and then Kalasmos was like 70 to 80. Like, there was a massive jump there. It wasn't like I was just skipping all the side stuff. I skipped some, and I recognize that. And saying I have like a tendency to do that again in Chrono Trigger, I was just following the story, and I was just following the story. I did the side stuff I found. There was some side stuff I didn't find, and I ended up at the final boss fights, and I got absolutely blasted. And it was like go grind or stop. I don't think I was intentionally skipping that much. I don't think that's good. Again, sometimes even at the end, because we would like to think we know what happens to the story. For this game, the story was so intense, Mukluk would skip the rest of the stuff. There should be either level escalation or the boss should be the level you'll have DMSQ. We skip the side stuff. Yeah, like, dude, after we grinded for 3 hours to get levels up, and then we went from like 50 to 70, and then I went back to Kalasmos and he killed 2 people on turn 1. I almost closed the game. And that's when someone in the game's like, can I spoil you? And I'm like, please do, because I don't care anymore. And then they were like, use the Sword of Light from your inventory without equipping it. And I'm like, what in the world? And then it weakened him. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Okay. All right. That's where you skip side stuff. They probably expect every player to find the best, strongest gear and do every bit of content. Maybe. Like, part of the thing is a lot of the best gear was crafted, and if I was trying to craft something and it's like, oh, you don't have nugget of poop to make this, you need to find a nugget of poop, I would have no idea where to get that. Like, anytime I was missing any ingredient required for crafting, I would have no idea where to find it unless I just happened to come across it. I understand if we're going for 100% or something regularly doesn't do everything in the game, especially a streamer like Mukluk plays 100 plus games per year. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not just completely bashing of the game. I think I'm just giving honest feedback. And I feel like, again, just following the main story prompts and doing some side quests, that worked for 50 hours. And then right before the final boss battle, the required level you had to be jumped by 20 levels. Okay? Like, literally, the step before Kalasmos, being level 50 was fine. But then Kalasmos, you needed to be 70 plus. Like, there was a huge jump right there at that stage. And it was like, okay, gotta go do other things. But, hey, Illy, what's up?
I just came back to GW2, I but stayed here for the variety.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the other games too. Appreciate that. Let's see. What's the morning program? Sorry, I mean night program. Evening game right now is First Berserker Kazan. Anyway, yeah, I think I've said my piece. I did enjoy this for the most part. Otherwise, I would not have kept playing it. There was some stuff I didn't love. There was some stuff I've seen it do better than other games, and there was stuff I've seen other games do better. The story was sometimes super compelling. Other times it was silly and ridiculous, but I was laughing, so it was fine. Like that whole thing with Sylvando and his circus troupe. And other times it was just huge plot holes that made me just like lose my mind. Don't like the level jump right before Kalasmos, but it is what it is. It's done, and that was our playthrough of Dragon Quest XI.